So good morning. My name is Mr. Mullet, and today we're going to be talking just a little bit about how to give in-flight announcements or gate announcements in the airline industry. Now, this applies also to your Amtrak or really any kind of a place, a Greyhound, where you're in a station and trying to give proper announcements. When you give announcements, you want to make sure that they're clear and they're understood by everyone. So speaking over an intercom or speaking over some kind of a megaphone or loudspeaker, a PA system, public address system, you have to make sure that you incorporate a few things into your arsenal when you're trying to make these announcements. I've got a few things up on the board that I think are important. And really what I'd like to talk about first is slowing down. Make sure you go slow when giving an announcement. You want to make sure that everyone understands it and you don't have to repeat yourself 10 times. The clearer you are, the less questions you'll have later. So that's why I think slowing down is pretty important. It also makes sure that if English is not someone's first language, that they'll be able to translate or figure it out before you move on. The next one would be articulate. Make sure when you're speaking that you enunciate all of your consonants. You can hear your S's and your T's and your V's and your B's. Though all those hard consonants, the D's are another example. All those hard consonants really end words and they start new words. So a lot of times you'll have someone who drifts off or they'll trail off when they're speaking, and it's very difficult to understand what they're trying to get across. So I will say one of the things that I try to do, and this is kind of a joke, there's two things. One, I'll give myself a tongue twister. For example, something like Irish wristwatch. If you can slow down enough and articulate your consonants enough to say Irish wristwatch and not fumble through it, which is a tongue teaser, but if you can do that, you know you're going slow enough and that you're articulating your consonants. The next thing is a simple exercise many singers will do or public speakers will do before they start giving a speech or giving any kind of message out. And that would be, they would practice something, or they would say something called the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. And by saying those things and saying them rather rapidly in a row, the lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, what it does is it gets your lips and your teeth and your tongue all involved in your speech pattern so that you're starting words and you're stopping words clearly and effectively so people can understand. So like I said, it's kind of a joke and it's kind of funny. If you listen to yourself say it, it's a little bit weird. But at the same time, it reminds you to make sure that you're using all of your consonants in your speech pattern. The next one, practice. Practice. When you have an announcement you're going to make, whether it's a boarding the aircraft announcement or a gate announcement or an in-flight safety announcement, practice it. Go home, get a camera. Which is one of the things we'll have you guys do is going through and making announcements, recording them, and you can make 100 of them, and pick out the best one, and then try to figure out why it's the best. Which one was easiest for you to understand? Which one were you the most clear? And then you'll submit those to us, and then that's how we know you're practicing. And when you get to a job, then you'll already have a basic announcement already memorized in your head that's easy to fall back on. It doesn't surprise you. The other thing is words. When you're trying to read something, if you've never read it, or if you've just kind of skimmed over it, you can make mistakes in your words. So making sure that you know the exact words that are in the announcement, that's crucial. Next one. Hey, this one is important, and it's hard to believe, but you can hear when somebody smiles. If someone is speaking and they're smiling, it makes your ears pick it up, people pick it up, and I'm not sure, even over the phone, Make sure you smile when you speak. It just makes the sound a little bit brighter. It, I think it does a few things to the palates in your mouth, and I think it makes it so that most people are used to hearing when someone's happy or they're sad, and you can pick up on it. So making sure you smile when you speak is pretty important too. Not grinning like a Cheshire cat, but at the same time, making sure that you're carrying on your conversation with a smile. Um, the last thing, complete phrases. This is important, and this is important because when you cut a sentence up into fragments, um, it makes it very difficult for someone to pay attention. Um, I don't know if I can give you an example of that off the top of my head, but at the same time, when you're singing or when you are giving an announcement, you want to make sure that you start and stop your sentences where they're supposed to start and stop. If you break them off early, if you take breaths in the middle of a phrase, or if you pause in the middle of a phrase where there's not supposed to be a pause, everyone's kind of waiting for the next line. You know, one of the funny things in humor is before you finish your sentence, you put a pause in. And so, what the pause is kind of a joke. The pause is kind of leaving somebody waiting for something else. And so, if and making sure that you end your statements and end your questions with the appropriate inflection. And inflection is simply how your voice goes up or down when you're giving a question. For example, how are you today? Right? If you said, "How are you today?" or "How are you today?" There's different things people infer by how your voice trails off, goes up, goes down, or completes that phrase. So, and again, with the pausing and commas and writing and things are very important so that people get the whole main idea. So that's pretty much my whole spiel for going through and how you actively present yourself and present your information so that someone can understand it clearly, so that you get all of your ideas across and not just some, and how to make sure you're speaking clearly.